All right, good afternoon. I'd like to call the Board of Trustees meetings together on Tuesday, March 30th, 2015, at approximately 2:10 p.m. Roll call.
Nino,
Here.
Lowell,
Here.
Solomon,
Here.
Duffy,
Here.
Baker,
Here.
Enquist,
Here.
and Zajac.
Here.
Thank you.
It is Monday.
Approval of the minutes,
Yeah.
approval of the
Dave?
agenda.
It is Monday, though.
I'm sorry, I said Tuesday.
Yeah.
That's right. Seems like. Approval of the agenda is published.
Change it to Monday.
On the agenda, yeah.
So moved with the change.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approval of the minutes as published. Two sets.
Two sets, it looks like.
Yep.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of Tuesday, January 27th.
I'll second.
Changes, additions, deletions, any comments, grammatical remarks? All in favor?
Aye.
Second set?
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes of the
February.
February, I'm still.
24th.
24th
Second.
board meeting.
Changes, additions, deletions, grammatical errors, remarks, and that.
Falsehoods.
All in favor?
Aye.
Comments and correspondence. Is anybody in the audience care to make a comment about a non-agenda item? Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Would you
So-
please state your name and
Yes,
address?
Sheena Zilke, and I am going to be leasing the Village View Inn from James Kendrick. I'm actually gonna be talking today about the damage and everything due to the building. I know I had spoke to Zeke, and he was telling me that that's usually one of the last things that gets fixed after the project is the damages to the building and different things like that, unless it's like safety concerns. And we are actually in the process of moving in there, and I'm wondering what the best way of going about, if I need to contact somebody. We do need our porch fixed. I myself have actually been trying to move things in. My son actually kind of fell through the boards. So that does need to be fixed, and we do have some wires that are cut that are just kind of hanging out of the ground. I don't know if that's actually, I would like that to be fixed with my son being on the property and everything. I know the cleanup and whatnot isn't gonna be taking place till the very end, but who should I be contacting for that?
That'd be me. Sheena, is there, the last time we spoke, there wasn't anything structural with the building, it was cosmetic. When you're saying there are boards
Yeah, well, there's boards that are like missing off of the porch
on
completely.
the inside of the porch? Like where he'd
Well-
fall through the floor or on the outside?
On the outside of the porch, but we do need to go, onto the porch to be moving our stuff in and out of the house.
Okay,
And that's on the porch where the office door and everything is gonna be too, so that will need to be repaired, as soon as possible. We do have the damage to the front of the building, which I would prefer to be done prior to us opening, because when we shut down for the season, that was not looking like that, and the siding is on there for a reason. I don't wanna lose a lot of business because people drive by, and obviously they'll know there's construction going on, but I don't want them looking at the building and saying, pretty much what a dump.
okay. The contractor's aware of it. I can have another follow-up conversation with the contractor. Generally, they do take care of everything in one fell swoop, so they're not repairing one thing, having to tear it up and come back and repair something else. The
Okay.
building itself, I don't see as an issue. The wires, I don't know if that's a termination point. They've got to come in and reconnect. I don't know what they are.
They're for like the sign lighting and everything outside, but I just, it's one thing I don't really want my son around. I don't know if that'll, once we flip the breakers on, which is gonna be this weekend.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that.
Well, we need to have somebody out
Yeah,
there though.
no, that's it.
Yeah,
Take
though,
care of
because
it.
we don't want to impair their business.
Sure. I'll talk to KS either this afternoon or tomorrow morning and get them to square up what needs to be squared up. The landscaping and whatnot there, they won't get that until
Yeah,
May.
that's fine. I'm not really too concerned about that. Obviously, I'd like it cleaned up sooner than later, but
Right.
if we have to wait for that, that's fine. I just don't want people to be falling in my porch, or my son trying to play. He drives his little trucks down in the porch,
Okay. I would tell you on the public record to keep everyone out of the area that is under construction. And in the meantime, while they're getting it fixed, I can get somebody to come and flag it so that everyone is on notice to stay away from that area for safety
Okay,
reasons if
because-
there is a
yeah,
fall
they have
risk.
yellow caution tape up right now, and some of it's kind of blowing down, but
Okay.
we have had to, you know, go in and out of that door to be able to move stuff in for
Okay.
the business and our personal stuff as well, too.
Okay. I'll follow up with KS.
Okay, and I know, I was speaking to somebody a couple weeks ago prior to us speaking, and he was saying when the weather gets nice, he was gonna take that siding off the front and, you know, try to have that fixed, and he was talking about possibly like gluing it back together. And obviously, I
See,
would
that's-
prefer that not to happen, I want everything to be fixed
Yeah.
properly.
It needs to be put back to your satisfaction. And whatever the contractor messed up, they need to make right. They will. After the contractors have their first stab at it, if for some reason something's not right, please let me know,
Okay,
and we'll get them to go back over it.
okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Is that it?
Yes, ma'am.
That's it? Thank you for your patience. Thank you for coming. Anybody else? Correspondence?
No printed out, sir.
Item number 1. Presentation from John Bacon of the Grand Traverse Islands National Lake Shore Campaign. Good afternoon and welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm really honored to be able to come speak to you guys. Do you have a clicker, or should I come on up and?
You can come up here and hit, or I can tap for you. Give it a-
That's okay.
Okay.
Can you turn the lights off?
Yep, let me get the front row.
Try not to take up too much of your time. Again, my name is John Bacon. I know some of you here. For those of you who don't know me, I am a National Outdoor Leadership School graduate and University of Puget Sound alum. Born and raised here in Door County. For about 3 years, I was a professional sea kayak guide, both here in Door County and up in the Apostle Islands. I actually have since returned to school, and I'm en route to becoming a third-generation CPA. But I'm here today, some of you may know exactly who I'm related to from that. I'm here today to speak to you on behalf of the Friends of the Grand Traverse Islands, which is a tiny little organization that's trying to accomplish something very big, and that would be to get the Grand Traverse Islands designated as a national lakeshore. I know that some of you who may be reading that subtitle are probably thinking to yourselves, not likely, or doubt it. And to be realistic, sure, I'll admit you're probably right. But as is the case with life, nothing's ever going to happen if we don't try. And this is really important that we try for, because the benefits of this, environmentally, historically, economically, would be huge. So I'm hoping that by the end of this presentation, you'll be thinking, instead of not likely, and yeah, instead of doubt it, and we'll see if I can succeed at that. First of all, some of you may not know where the Grand Traverse Islands are. Not actually that many people know that word, the Grand Traverse Islands, even if they know what I'm talking about. I'll turn that map into something a little prettier. We all know at the bottom of the screen, northern Door County, tip of northern Door County, you see Washington Island. At the very top is Upper Michigan's Garden Peninsula, which is Door County's sister peninsula. And right there in the middle, that's the Grand Traverse Islands. So these islands are part of the vast Niagara Escarpment, which stretches from central Wisconsin all the way over to Niagara Falls and New York State. And it's composed, according to scientists, of dolomitic limestone rock formed over 425 million years ago from the compressed sediments of a warm tropical sea. Songbirds, bats, and butterflies return to their shores each and every summer. Rare plants and animals call this place home. Trees believed to be over 500 years old cling to their nearly vertical rock bluffs. They're just a really, really special place. They contain miles and miles of achingly beautiful shoreline. This is Poverty Island in the spring. Just really, really impressive shoreline. You can imagine yourself kayaking that That's Rock Island. It's pretty cool. Look at that water. It's incredible. But I'm not just talking about the geology and the wildlife of the area. Historically, this is a big part of our maritime heritage. It encompasses places like the Potawatomi Lighthouse on Rock Island, which is the site of Wisconsin's oldest lighthouse. The Fort Arson Estate on Rock Island, which is the home of the Icelandic-American inventor of the first million-volt transformer. He made quite a splash at the Chicago World's Fair. Just a really, really special place. The Plum Island Range Lights and Lightkeeper's House, and the Plum Island U.S. Life-Saving Station, which is the last remaining Duluth-style life-saving station on the Great Lakes. That's it. Pilot Island Lighthouse, one of the most endangered lighthouses in the state of Wisconsin. The St. Martin Island Lighthouse, which is one of the few exoskeleton lighthouses on the Great Lakes. And the Poverty Island Lighthouse, which, according to Lighthouse Digest magazine, is the most endangered lighthouse in the entire country. That's it, right there. It's right here on our doorstep. That's the one that's in need of the most help. And of course, I'm not just talking about lighthouses. That's not the only history up there. Generations and generations of Native American settlements. There are archaeological sites found on almost all of the islands there. The French voyagers and Jesuit missionaries, that's how the Grand Traverse Islands got their name. It was, of course, a grand traverse for those paddling through the area. The Icelandic and Scandinavian fishing settlements, there was, you can still find the ruins of them on Rock Island and on St. Martin Island. There were two year-round communities there for a long time. And of course, shipwrecks, lots and lots of shipwrecks. That's why we have the lighthouses, of course. What you're looking at here is said to be a wood carving of what Le Griffin was believed to have looked like, and many of you have probably heard the news about this. This was the first wooden sailing ship built and sailed on the Great Lakes, and it was inevitably also the first to sink. And some people believe it was located right here. It was last seen leaving Washington Island, so it's quite a possibility. All right, so you can see there are just a lot of reasons why this is a special place, why it should be protected. And believe it or not, I'm not the first person, and our group, we're not the first ones to say that they should be protected. In fact, the United States Department of the Interior recommended these islands for protection in its landmark Islands of America report in 1970. At that time, they were recommending the last remaining sections of shoreline that should be secured for public recreation in the future. And they could only recommend so many national parks at that time, but they reserved what they called the Green Bay Islands. They said this should be a park, it should be an interstate wilderness park. And on the heels of that recommendation, the states of Wisconsin and Michigan began jointly planning for that park's creation. You can see the plans, and you can see there's one Bureau of Outdoor Recreation study where they calculated the price of this park down to like the cost of a chainsaw at that time. They said 2 chainsaws were needed, X boat, and you could see where they were going to have the ferries in between the islands and where they were going to have the campsites. It's pretty wild. Wisconsin went so far as to commission an environmental impact study of its section of that proposed park, which you can also see, and it even purchased at that time 5 small parcels of land on Detroit Island for future inclusion into that state park. So there was a lot of momentum built up. There was a lot of interest in it, and then I can't figure out what exactly happened. I've been trying to figure out what exactly happened. Changing politics in the 1980s, budget shortfalls. For some reason, in the early 1980s, the park plan was abandoned, which is of course why I'm here today. The lighthouses and historic structures were abandoned, and they were left to decay. And our organization, feels like this is a real tragedy. We don't want this to be the end of the story for the Grand Traverse Islands. There are just so many reasons why they should be more, why they should be a national lakeshore, why that would be a good thing. Reason number 1, to protect and draw attention to the Niagara Escarpment, which is one of the defining geological features of North America. The Canadian section, the Canadians have gotten it designated a UN Biosphere Reserve. It's pretty big. I don't know what exactly that means, but it's quite a big, they're saying that this is a really important ecosystem for the world. It's a special place. And we're behind the ball here in the United States. No national park in the U.S. showcases, highlights the escarpment, not even Niagara Falls. That's a national historic area. So one of the big reasons for doing this would be to draw attention to a national treasure. the Niagara Escarpment. Reason number 2, to save our endangered Great Lakes maritime history. I showed you some pictures of the lighthouses up there. They're in need of a lot of help. If we don't act soon to save them, there may not be a whole lot left to save down the road. We have some really great organizations that have done a lot for a few of the lighthouses down here. There's the Friends of Rock Island. It's a fantastic organization. There's the Friends of Plum and Pilot Island, another fantastic organization. They're working very hard. The Potawatomi Lighthouse is really fixed up. Friends of Plum and Pilot Island are working really hard to fix up the lighthouse there on Plum Island and down the road on Pilot Island as well. But they still need a lot of help. National Park Service's mission in not only to protect wild places, but is to preserve, protect, and interpret our history, our collective history. So that's why it would be a good fit. Reason number 3, to preserve land for threatened and endangered species. There are a lot of rare and threatened species that exist in the Grand Traverse Islands. Northern Door County, those islands, and Upper Michigan's Garden Peninsula, it's a critical habitat. And the habitat for these species is shrinking regionally day by day. So to set these lands aside and then to manage them as a single unit, rather than a patchwork quilt of different units managed by different organizations, be that the DNR, the Nature Conservancy, or the Door County Land Trust, even though they kind of have meshed goals and missions, it would be better for these animals and just, I think, better for funding reasons and all that, just to manage it under one agency and organization. And it would be good for these threatened and endangered species to set this land aside. Reason number 4, to provide greater public access to an archipelago of great natural beauty and wonder. I mean, like all great wilderness areas, the Grand Traverse Islands have the power to help us discover ourselves and our connection to nature. They have the power to replenish our souls, as they say, to help us literally recreate ourselves. But they can't do that if you can't go there. If you can't experience them, they're going to mean nothing to anybody. And I think, frankly, that's why they're in the state they are now. Reason number 5, to improve public safety. Right now there's no safe harbor between the southern tip of Rock Island and Fairport, Michigan. That's about 20 plus miles, where if you're a sea kayaker or a sailboat or whatever, that's pretty dangerous, and things can come up out of nowhere if you're not prepared for them. And if you are caught out there, there are a lot of places where you're not supposed to land. It's not allowed right now. So a safe harbor, perhaps on St. Martin Island, Summer Island, or both islands, as part of this National Lakeshore, would really improve the area's safety for visitors. And then the last reason, this is a really big reason, is to promote economic growth. The National Park Service estimates that in 2013, it brought over $14.6 billion with a B dollars of spending to gateway communities. That's a lot. 401 National Park Service units, I did the math here, it comes out to $36.4 million of spending to gateway communities, each gateway community, every year. Give or take a few $1 million here and there. It's not always going to be exactly the same, but for the last several years it's been above 30. That's no small chunk of change. Multiplied out every year, that's big. That means a lot so there's a big reason here. The other thing I like to say is you go into a Walmart, follow me here on this one, you go into a Walmart, on the bookends, what do they have in every Walmart throughout the country, right? They've got a Rand McNally atlas. What do they have in an atlas? Right at the front, usually there's just this big map, and the big map shows 4 things. It shows highways, it shows state capitals, it shows state lines, and then it shows places of interest. Almost all of the places of interest are national parks. This will put a big green dot in Door County. I mean, we're talking the next National Geographic article. This will be huge. So it's a big reason. Lots of good reasons. So what do I think we should do? What do the Friends of the Grand Traverse Islands think that we should do here? I think you can all imagine what this next slide is going to say. Make them national, right? We should make them national. Well, what would that National Lakeshore look like? It could look something like this. The area is highlighted in green. Now, believe it or not, most of the areas shown here in green are already publicly owned. There's not a lot of private land included here, and I only included the private land to make it pretty. The fact is, like some 90% of this is public. You don't have to have any public land to create and establish a significant national lakeshore here. And this is just a proposal. You take or leave some of the areas. By the way, if you're wondering, most of the private land that's included in this tends to be connecting the parcels of state forest land in the Garden Peninsula. Okay, That's great. What's the process? Well, nothing political is ever easy, but in a sense, it is kind of straightforward. 3 things need to happen. The first thing is that Congress needs to authorize the National Park Service to conduct what's called an SRS, a Special Resource Study of the area in question. And that determines the area's suitability, its feasibility, its significance. Now, I think that obviously, if they were able to conduct that study, it would come back positive. For a whole lot of reasons, I think it would come back positive. Even if it came back positive, but with the finding that it just wasn't monetarily feasible right now, that's still really great. That means that they put it on a list of potential future national parks. It's on a short list. So when there's a time when it is appropriate, then we're ready to seize that opportunity. Okay? So, and that's part number 2. You've got to come back with a positive SRS. 3, after that SRS comes back positive, Congress can pass legislation declaring a new national lakeshore, or the President can declare federal lands that it owns a new national monument under the 1906 Antiquities Act. And given that the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service has expressed a lot of interest in purchasing more of the Grand Traverse Islands, that's a distinct possibility down the road. Some warrants here. What about hunting? What about fishing? What about overdevelopment of some national parks? So these are all important questions, but nothing says that you can't hunt or fish, even commercially, in national parks and lakeshores. Just take the Apostle Islands, for instance. The whole time, ever since it was established, commercial fishing has gone on there. Hunting's gone on there in some of the islands. There's no reason, and that's not written into the law anywhere. So even if it's not written into the legislation, creating a national lakeshore, a national park, does not curb these activities. And frankly, what we are proposing is that, just to ensure that, it would specifically state, in whatever legislation is passed, that these are protected things that should and can and will happen. As far as wilderness, yes, some places like Yellowstone and the Great Smoky Mountains, kind of like zoos. There's a gift shop or a diner on every corner. That wouldn't be good here in this situation. But for a couple reasons, I don't think that's going to happen. One, the geology and remoteness of the area just isn't going to support that kind of development. And 2, we're proposing a wilderness national lakeshore. And what that means is there's no development of any kind. Few minor foot trails, few minor wilderness campsites, like I said, a dock, and some historic preservation of the lighthouses. Nothing else. So we don't have to worry about a National Park Service diner on St. Martin Island. That's just not part of the picture. So, going back to that question I posed at the beginning of the presentation, Grand Traverse Islands, our next national lakeshore? Yeah, right, yes. If you help. Now, for you, how can you help? You represent one of the northernmost municipalities in Door County. Obviously, you would derive a lot of benefit from increased tourism, etc., as part of the creation of National Lakeshore here, and you can lend your voice to this. We're just asking that you join the Door County Visitor Bureau, the Delta County Chamber of Commerce, the Town of Liberty Grove, the U.S. Lighthouse Society, the National Lakeshore Resource Partnership, and the Niagara Escarpment Resource Network. Write us a letter of support. Just say, dear friends of the Grand Traverse Islands, we think that this area should be studied. We think it should be considered for National Lakeshore status. We would like Congress to authorize the National Park Service to conduct an SRS. That would be big from you. That's capital L legitimacy. I mean, you represent people. You would get our officials to at least say, hey, maybe we should look at this. And that's all that I and we as an organization are really here to ask for you today. So, I'll end by just saying we have this amazing opportunity here. It's right here on our doorstep. Should we jump? Yes, absolutely we should jump. This would be a great thing. And I hope you'll consider doing that. I hope you'll consider writing us a letter of support. Again, thank you all so much for letting me come speak to you today. If you want to find out more, www.grandtraverseislands.com has our proposal there. You can see the other letters of support that we've gotten. Thank you very much, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Very good, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Any questions? Okay. I really appreciate it. Thank you all so much.
Sure thing.
Can we also call your attention to the letter that's in the packet from Liberty Grove? I have a question for you.
Yes,
How much of the property and the islands you're referring to are privately owned?
there is in Summer Island has a number of private residences on the North Shore, although a significant amount of it is Michigan State Forest land. There is a good chunk of Little Summer Island that's privately held, although there are some parcels that aren't. And then Detroit Island, which I didn't even include in the proposal, that's all private. Washington Island, obviously, I didn't include in the proposal. And then there is a little chunk on St. Martin Island that is still private. Although most of that just sold, the Luger family just sold that to the Nature Conservancy.
So under your proposal, how does that affect any of the private ownership, or does it?
Well,
If it was declared a national lake shore?
if private lands were included in the ultimate legislation, which they wouldn't need to be, generally what the National Park Service does now, because there was a lot of politics behind this back then, is to offer private owners 3 options. You either can sell now, make the fair value of your property. You can sell 10 years, make kind of halfway, or you can have a lifetime lease, which smart people then put in the name of their grandchild, and it stays in the family for 80, 100 years or whatever, which is, in the case of the Isle Royal, that was declared national park in the 30s or 40s, and there are still private residents there because the grandkid's still alive. We don't care so much about seeing this happen right now, or even in the next decade. We just want to see it happen for the future, because we think this would be a good thing. Does it?
Okay.
Thank you all so much.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Tom.
If you all are so inclined to do that, we can take it up under item 15.
Yes, thanks for your explanation.
I'll leave some brochures out. If you want to grab them at the end, you can grab them.
Thanks.
John, what is SRS stand for?
Special Resource Study.
Okay, thank you.
That's the official term.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to do 2 and 3 in open.
Yes, sir. Guys, we'll explain one thing that happened in your packets. Item 2 and 3, the board reports got flipped around, so they read a little bit funky. We're going to handle them at the same time. One is authorizing the other.
So item 2, consider a motion to accept recommendation of the Finance Committee and the Plan Commission to consider adoption of Resolution 308-033-015, approving the development agreement for the Stony Ridge Development Project, and along with that, we'll go to resolution under item 3 to consider a motion to adopt Resolution 307-033-015, authorizing the borrowing in the amount of $530,000 to fund improvements as outlined under the terms of the Stony Ridge Development Agreement.
Okay. So this represents the culmination of years of work on Mr. Garrett's part, months of work on Mr. Stan Wilson, who's in the audience's part, and myself, along with a number of attorneys. I'll let you all know that as of this afternoon, our corp counsel has not, or at least he's not gotten back to me on the review of the document. I know from talking to his secretary that he's at least opened the email and seen it. We did engage Corals and Brady to write the development agreement. They're a legal firm, so you have that firm's overview and authorship of this agreement. This didn't come from the developer. It was done by us, just through a different law firm. Have in hand one of our obligations to this, which is a commitment letter from Ms. Leslie Gast of Bay Lake Bank. The term of this loan, that information was handed out to you at the beginning of the meeting. So you're looking at 2.6% fixed for 10 years. The same terms are passed along in terms of the repayment side to Mr. Garrett. And that's 2 years of interest only, followed up by an 8-year amortization. With that, I'm going to ask Mr. Stan Wilson to talk about the specifics of the financial side of the agreement.
Do you go up to the,
You can, yeah.
or can everybody hear me from back here? Okay. Well, like Zeke said, this is a culmination of several months of getting this deal structured right, so I'm gonna make this as simplistic as I can. What we're really looking at here is, like I said, was a loan of $530,000. The total cost of the projects to, including some legal fees and a little bit of engineering, is about $630,000. And what's going to be used is basically there's 13 lots to be developed. And Zeke, did you want to put that up there
Yeah.
so that I can give?
Yep.
It's better to get a visual on this so you can see what's being developed and collateral positions.
Talk about how much work has been done on this. There's 9 versions in my file folder for this thing.
So I believe we have it down to a palatable agreement that will work for both the village and Mr. Garrett. If you could blow that up a little bit.
Yeah, it's loaded.
Okay.
Turn the lights off again.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, if you could do that. Zeke, maybe you wanna, could you go up there and show them exactly what the village will have as collateral, and that'd be a little bit easier?
Okay, so collateral positions on this agreement, outlot 1 is effectively stormwater retention. That's stormwater management. That'll be held as a tenant in common arrangement with outlying lot. Unless Mr. Garrett comes back at a later date with an association agreement, we could amend it at that time. Lot number 1, there are 2 condo buildings proposed to go in there, 2 units each. Lots 4, 5, and 6 each will have an apartment building on it. Lot 7 is where proposed mini storage units are. This is the road connecting them, private road. And then all of these lots here, 2 through 18.
There's 13 lots that
Yeah,
are in
outstanding.
lot 1,
Single
just to
family.
summarize it, they'll
Sure.
be developed. And then, so you have a reference, so that's what the village will have as collateral on their loan to be developed.
Highway
The primary
57
collateral.
out here, guys, just to orient you for those of you that haven't seen this before. This is on the way out of town.
And lots 4, 5, 6, 7 is what the Bank of Luxembourg will have a first mortgage on. Okay, so everybody kind of understands what the picture is. And then outlot 2, the Bank of Luxembourg will have a first mortgage on. And it was amended in the last agreement that the village would have a secondary mortgage on that. So that's really the collateral pool. But the whole source of repayment really is those 13 lots that we talked about, lot 1, that's where the primary source of repayment is going to come from. And the release price per lot is $41,000 per lot, and that's really what's going to drive the repayment of the loan. Now,
Stan, would you explain that for everyone?
each time a lot is developed, let's say, for example, Mr. Garrett puts a home or a condo or whatever on it. However it's to be developed, every time it's sold or developed, then each $41,000 would come off each time. And the neat thing about the structure on it is, it only takes 2 lots a year to make this whole thing work. And one of the other key components is that Bank of Luxembourg, through their loan, has agreed to fund $100,000 of the cost. They've also agreed to put $45,000 into the kitty to pay the interest expense for the first 2 years as part of their draw. So it's structured the best possible way to make this thing successful. The other nice thing about it, as these apartments and minis get developed up, for the cash flow analysis that we use with Bank of Luxembourg to get the loan approved, there's probably about $9,000 per month of excess cash flow. I know you don't have a lien on that, but if for some reason that excess cash flow is there to repay back the debt, so it's structured in the best possible way for it to get paid back on a timely manner. It's not an aggressive sales goal to sell off or develop 2 lots per year. So it's structured in the best possible way to make it. make it successful, so.
It's also set up so that one lot isn't sold and we're still repaid fully. That's roughly,
Right.
there's some excess built into that 41,000.
There's been a lot of thought put into this to make sure the project works right, so I feel comfortable with it. I was a previous commercial lender for 30 years doing every loan in the sun, so I'm all about structure, win-win that works for both of us, so. The bank's fine with it too. Bank of Luxembourg's fine, they reviewed it, so they're fine with it too, so.
Can you explain what timeline for development is and which lots will be developed first?
Lots 4, 5, 6, and 7 they're leaving here sometime today or tomorrow. They're going to close with Bank of
We're
Luxembourg.
gonna close tomorrow morning to get the construction loan to do lots 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now, Keith, how long do you think it'll take to work, just do the first 2 phases, the apartments and things? How many days are we looking at?
Shane, he had, before Keith answers, he has to produce a construction schedule
Right,
by,
right.
I think it's the 15th of April. We can go back and look at the document, but he's got to give us a layout saying this is my proposed schedule. It's not to say it'll be exact.
Well, we want to start right away. We're going to close the Luxembourg at 11 o'clock tomorrow, so we'll have 1.6 million to build those 2 apartments. We get those rented up, we can go to the 3rd apartment, and we'll start the storage units right away. We can start it with the help of Robert E. Lee without waiting for the sewer and water to come across 57. So we'll be able to go up vertically while they're bringing the sewer and water across the highway. So that when they hook us up to our apartments, we'll be ready to go. We don't have to wait for that.
So to put that in perspective, that's about 1/3 of the whole project value is being done immediately.
Right. And how many days do you think it'll take up
It'll take about 4 to 5 months to build the apartments.
the first 2 phases, or just, okay. So it's gonna go up relatively quickly, and then the mini warehouses are gonna go in conjunction with it too.
And then we're going to start 2 homes this year also, once the street's in, on the Ava Hope Trail. Once that we can get a building permit, we'll start those 2 homes this year. So we'll be actually 4 years ahead, we'll be another 2 years ahead, so.
Which lots are those keys for the house?
We haven't decided.
Okay,
Those are all single-family homes on that
yeah.
sector?
And infrastructure goes in right away, as far as the roads and everything?
Robert E. Lee has to engineer it, and once they engineer it, we'll have to negotiate with a contractor, and that'll go right away, this spring.
How many days will that take to complete?
I think he said 30 days.
So it's, I guess the long and short of it is, it's gonna go up relatively quick.
And the infrastructure goes in for all of the lots, am I correct, or just 4 or
It'll
5?
go in up to that lot 1.
Right.
Is how far he'll have to go with it. Beyond there, he'll have to dedicate all that you see dedicated. That'll get done subsequent to this agreement.
Okay, what about Ava Hope?
Yeah, all that goes in.
Okay.
Trailer and court. He's also got to bring
So they're-
Northwoods, he's got to bring Northwoods from right here, which is approximately where it stops, the termination of that cul-de-sac up here. There's some electric lines that need to get moved around down there as well.
So we'll have a loop, or it's gonna dead end up somewhere?
It will dead end at lot 1. I know we have this thought about cul-de-sacs here. I actually had to call Randy Nesbitt on this and say, look, here's a situation with likely termination points for development. Here's what our code says. How would you interpret this? And his answer was, well, as long as he's dedicating it through, there's the idea that it will be constructed at some point in the future. So it's acceptable to not have a temporary cul-de-sac sort of occupying a huge chunk of lot 1, necessitating a rerouting of that Northwoods Drive there.
So Northwoods Drive will be extended, or will it not?
It'll be dedicated, and then when he goes in to develop out lot 2
At a future
at a
time.
future date, that he can.
Oh, I'm sorry, that way. How about this over here?
Here up to somewhere here, depending on what Robert E. Lee comes back with.
Okay,
Will be completed now.
Right.
okay. So the only car entrance to the property comes from the south?
Yes.
Okay. And you could build all this out, there will not be a northern exit, or
There will
to
be
be
up
determined?
Up to Cherrywood Lane, is where the whole project will terminate once phase 2 is completed, or for outlot 2.
For all of two.
Okay. How about over to the,
57.
no, the other way? Is that just a dead end?
That's a dead end.
Okay.
The current dedication or official map showing future dedications of right of way have it hugging down this line. And as that develops, things will be dedicated along to there. It will be updated to show the termination point here on the official street map.
Any questions? If there's no questions, a motion would be in order. Thank you.
Thank you. So what is the motion needs to say we're approving the developer's agreement or the loan or?
Authorize resolution, I'm sorry, enact resolution 308-03-3015 and 307-03-3015.
So item 2 and item 3 resolutions.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
Okay, just one quick question. When it left plan the other night, it was gonna go back to finance for something. That's the way I understood it. What was tweaked or whatever?
Well, if something needed to be changed, finance has seen this 530 prior to this. If something was going to change, because he had to add a number of things to the agreement. There was one, remember when it left plan commission, there was pages of blank.
Stuff
Yes,
that need to be
yes,
filled in.
yes.
And we would send it back to finance if something materially changed in the blanks being filled in.
Okay,
And nothing materially changed the number, so.
okay, thank you. Thanks.
I'll second the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank everyone for their hard work. Thank you,
Yeah.
Zeke. Thank you, Keith.
Patience.
Thanks, Stan.
Yeah.
Thanks for your patience.
All right, Keith and Stan, I'm gonna get some signed copies. You guys can get one of these and head on your way to pull that loan back a lot. Sure.
Thank you very much.
Could we take a recess with everybody else and, yeah, 5-minute recess? You can get these
5 minute recess,
signed.
while we
Keith,
sign
you come
some
up.
documentation.
Okay.
Be back at 5 and 3.
39.
Approximately 2:55 p.m. I don't believe it's there, because I don't think I've been in a meeting with John for Marina. Where are we? Item number 5, consider a motion to convene a closed session pursuant to state statute. No,
So you're gonna do 4?
we're going to go into closed session first.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statutes 19.85, sub 1, sub E, deliberating or negotiating the purchase of public properties, investment of public funds, or conducting other specified public business, whether competitive, whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. Motion by Lino.
Second.
Need a roll call vote. Lino,
Duffy.
yes.
Duffy, yes.
Zaczek, yes.
Baker, yes?
Clove, yes.
Solomon, yes.
We are now in
And
closed session.
Kathy.
And we'll say yes.
Say yes.
Yes.
We're in closed session. Okay, ready to go back in session?
I'm ready.
We're back in session. All set, Laddie?
Yes.
Okay, would somebody care to make a motion on discussions that were held in closed session? And Janelle, would you remind us what some of that discussion was? Under item 8 was consider a motion to adopt resolution 309-033-015, which was to authorize purchase of Braun property, parcels 181-421-0012 and 181-421-0013.
Okay, so under item 7, consider a motion to take action. We've got a motion was made by and seconded by that the village board authorizes village staff members to purchase the Braun property subject to the following contingencies. A, the sum of at least $219,750 must be received from the Wisconsin Department of Transportation, and B, an acceptable signed offer to purchase in the amount of $625,000 must be received from Alan Terracolke. Then you've also got a motion was made by and seconded by that the village board accepts Alan Terracolke's offer to purchase a portion of the Braun property contingent upon establishment of an escrow account in the amount of $40,000.
And
I'll make a motion to do the first one.
The first one, okay.
is there a second?
I'll second it.
And that's authorizing the purchase of the parcels.
Mhm.
And then your
And
second
what is the,
one?
what is the sum of that purchase?
829,750.
$829,750. Any discussion on that one?
Do
Any
you
other
want to have
discussion?
that in your motion?
Purchase price, yes.
Yeah, okay, for 800, what is it, I'm sorry?
829,750.
750, okay. Okay, does somebody want to make the second motion about to purchase
Well, wait,
Allen?
let's do it one at a time. We're doing one at a time.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
Can I, a discussion about the lot, so 219,750, isn't it 20?
No, it's two,
219,750.
We
Part
got
of
an
it's
additional
we got an
15.
additional 15 grand in the.
So does that mean the purchase of the property goes up an additional 15 grand?
No.
No,
No, that's why we've specified the
The 829.
829,750.
it's just how much we're getting from DOT.
I see, okay, my addition was
That's why I
up.
wanted to specify.
Yes, thank you.
You're the finance chairman?
That's why he's checking out the numbers.
Paid
That's right.
attention.
Okay, so the
Double
motion
checking.
was to purchase the Braun property, which comprised of those two parcels, as I mentioned, for $829,750. There was a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that motion carries. All right, and secondly, we're considering the motion to accept $219,700, a minimum of $219,750 from the DOT, okay, Department of Transportation, to set aside a part of the Braun property, and authorizing the staff to borrow $625,000 to pay for the balance of the purchase, for a total of $829,750. You have to look at, I didn't have to look that up.
And then you have an establishment of an escrow account.
No, not that?
That's
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 next.
the next
Oh,
one.
okay.
Now,
No,
those
that
two
doesn't
numbers
add up
don't
if you
add
say
up to-
that.
No, you've got to put a
Because
parking
of
lot there
15.
about, in our requirements, and then 3 years, so that money you're receiving from DOT is just going to end up in the unassigned fund balance until they reallocate it.
Okay, but
at the
the
time.
wording was,
We're accepting $219,750 minimum from the DOT,
right,
okay? And we're authorizing staff to borrow
to borrow, okay.
Yep.
the balance to equal a total of
Well, then it'd be less than
$829,750.
625. No.
No,
You're authorizing staff to borrow it in order
I'm
to
sorry,
meet the
625.
obligations.
625.
Okay, now where does
Right, 'cause
that
the
go in
15
this
stays.
motion?
Yes.
That was a question.
Okay.
We're authorizing the acceptance of at least $219,750 from the DOT,
Okay.
and we're authorizing staff to borrow $625,000.
yeah, then we can't use
And
this
stop it
wording
there.
in number 9. It says to borrow to finance the purchase, that's,
That's fine wording. It means we're going to use all 625 of it to finance the purchase, and that 219,750 is coming into the general fund, and we're going to use the, you got it?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so the sum of at least $219,750 must be received from the Wisconsin Department of Transportation, and staff members are authorized to borrow $625,000.
To finance the purchase of the Braun property.
Okay.
That's what you said, wasn't it, Scott?
So
Yes,
who made-
exactly what I said.
You made the motion, right?
I'll make the motion.
Who was the second on that?
I'll second.
Kathy was, okay. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, consider a motion to adopt Resolution 310-033-015, authorizing the sale of a portion of the Braun property to Alan Terry Goki. Is that how it's listed?
Yes, sir.
In the sum of $625,000. Contingent upon receiving a $40,000 escrow,
The establishment.
the establishment of a $40,000 escrow fund
$40,000 escrow account
to cover the first 2 years of an interest-only loan interest payments.
to cover default.
Well, no, just,
No.
they're for payments, then you're covered on the first
Okay,
2
so that
years.
the village board accepts Alan Taragopi's offer to purchase a portion of the Brown property for $219,750.
No,
No? Okay.
for $625,000.
625.
He's really getting a deal now.
Okay, $625,000, contingent upon establishment of an escrow account in the amount of $40,000?
Mhm.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Oh, I'm sorry, opposed?
Now, can I
Motion
verify,
carried.
I'm sorry, can I verify that first one? Just-
Sure.
Okay. That the village board authorizes village staff members to purchase the Brown property for $829,750, subject to the following contingencies. The sum of at least $219,750 must be received from the Wisconsin Department of Transportation, and staff members shall borrow $625,000 to finance that purchase. Is that correct?
Is that?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. We're going to jump down to,
You got item 4 still, sir?
pardon?
You have item 4 also? Need to be addressed.
Yes, I know it.
Okay.
We're going to go down and,
It's okay if you do.
no, which one is it? Item 13, I'm sorry. Item 13, review of financial statements, consideration for motion to approve the monthly bills. Has the face amount on this changed at all, Julianne?
No, this is, I just prepared this today.
Okay, motion by Lena to pay the monthly bills in the amount of $401,557.45.
Second.
Discussion.
I have some questions. Zoom, page 68, village, page 3. You've got $26,000 for street maintenance on Cherrywood, what's that?
That is the.
Escrow amount that was put in when Orbinsky built subdivision up there, and he put money in escrow account for us to resurface and pave it. That Harks approved.
Yeah, there was a dedicated an
All
account.
right,
dedicated
I
to
thought
that.
it was like, what did we do to the street? So, you can go right by this one, page 70, Village Farm, JJR. Another redesign, how many redesigns have we had?
It just gets flagged in that account as redesign, so any work they've done since just shows up there.
No matter, okay.
And then on 70 and 5, Lake and Pond treatments, down payment of $1,600. Is that for Marina, or what is that, and what is the down payment for Lake and Pond treatments?
That is the marina.
For the weeds.
Well, I assume that, but why are we paying them $1,600 now? They don't usually do that until July. Are we getting a special deal or something like that?
It's a contract, and yes, I think it does give us a discount if we pay an amount down. I think that's been handled this way every year.
I seem to recall that previously too. I think we do get a discount if we prepay, or at least part of it.
Okay.
That sounds familiar.
And what do you have on page 73?
Before we go off page 70, I have a question about the reimbursement of Christmas lights to Steve Mann. Why was it handled that way?
We couldn't, our credit card limit had been maxed out, and he wanted to get them while they were still available at that price.
On sale.
So he used his own personal credit card. We have since increased our credit card limits so that shouldn't be necessary again.
Okay, thank you.
On page 73, village page 8, I got a front fascia for $3,800.
Yes, sir.
Security roofing. What building, what were we putting a front fascia
That was
on?
the
This is the pavilion.
Oh, okay, all right, for the,
Yep.
and then
Go ahead.
I was gonna then Schneck bus, I don't know,
Use
audit,
Best Solutions.
for $21,000 for the audit. How often do we get audited? It seems like we just had an audit.
Every year.
Every year.
I know, but didn't we just do an audit 3 months ago or something like that?
They were here working, and then they complete most of their work, and then they send a bill. There might be a little more of a bill afterwards.
They
This
present,
is within the amount.
All right, so this is
that
not
they
an
cut.
additional audit, this is from the last audit that they were here working
Well, they were
on.
here at the end of February,
Right,
and this bill comes in
all right.
after they've completed
Yeah, I
their
was
field
looking-
work.
So they come and they do their field work. From the time they start their field work till the time we get and finalize the report, accept the report, how long a period of time does that normally go each year?
Last year, I think it was early May, before we had the finance meeting at which they presented their final report. They hope to get it done in April this year if we can set up a finance meeting, but we don't have a date yet.
But typically the audit, I mean routinely the audit every year takes a couple of months, start to finish. From the time they would start, do the field work, till we get the report,
The
and we
final
meet and
week of
accept.
February through, let's say, at least through April. So 2 months and a little more.
Anybody else?
Page 66, we got Aaron Bly mileage reimbursement. Is he driving back and forth to be here?
Yes, sir.
From Stout, yeah.
We're paying him to come up and do the interim until he gets up here for the summer.
Okay.
For we told him we'd pay him mileage we're doing it. He's assistant manager of the marina right now. He's doing all of the follow-up work on getting the slips rented, such and such.
Okay. So, March, April, and then, I'm just
He'll be
curious, I
up here in
mean,
May. He'll be up here and he's out of school.
it's
in
fine.
May.
For future benefits, somebody that's 19 years old to say, save your gas receipts, I'll pay you for your gas, or a couple extra hours, I mean,
Doing as much as we can by
Yeah.
phone. I think, he's not been here every weekend.
No, there was a couple of weekends initially to get him up and running and take over from a previous manager. He had to shuttle back and forth to pick up various pieces of equipment, the computer, and get that stuff set up. And we also got Logical Solutions transferred onto that laptop computer so he wouldn't have to travel back and forth.
okay.
Juliana brought this up as an outstanding expense item 2 weeks ago, maybe more. Said, hey, we need to limit the driving back and forth. This is getting a little expensive. And so we had a conversation about capping that.
Okay.
Ben?
67, ice eater repair. Are those the bubblers that break? Okay.
Regularly.
Yeah.
Is there a different bubbler you can put in?
Or
'Cause there's
somehow pulls it off?
3 of them.
Oh, there's about 30 of them.
Oh.
And they're over $1,000 a piece, aren't they?
Yeah,
There's like a 1 horse or a horse and a half motor on them. They're not cheap. We looked at them. Maybe they're like $1,200. And, the flip side is, if you don't do it, and we do have some damage. I noticed there's at least one float that's down. You're seeing the white styrofoam in there, and then that fills with water, and it sucks the whole darn thing down.
Yeah.
It goes back to our lovely friends at JJR.
Yes.
What the water bringeth, the ice taketh away, right?
Right.
Okay.
We won't need
Don't
any
bring-
bubbers. Just leave them.
Okay, what else?
Yeah,
Next page?
that's all I got.
Anybody else?
No, I'm good.
You have a motion and a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Back up to item 4. Consider a motion to adopt the policy clarifying
Can I
ordinance.
just, I'm sorry, Dave, can I just say that I included the end of the 2014 financial statements, which these statements that you have here include almost all of the adjusting entries that the auditors wanted to make. They're looking at a couple of other things right now, but this is pretty much what it's going to be. And I thought you might like to have that.
Thank you.
Can I make one comment on that? On
Sure.
the budget that you had on page 90 on the marina, on the budget. You've got internet costs, we budgeted $700, but we spent $4,092 on internet. Is that correct? And why?
That has to do with
Past
the
bill.
bill.
Why is the marina suddenly spending $4,000
Not
when the budget
suddenly.
is $7,000?
The
Well,
marina's.
we always had internet, but what is the $4,000 versus a budget of $700?
That's your cable TV.
No, we just, cable TV's underneath it, and it was $7,000, we spent $1,800.
Okay, all that stuff coming in, there was I don't remember how many months, 8 months, 9 months, something like that. Juliana, do you recall how many months it was? Or Janelle?
It was a long time.
I know, there's
We
several
made a
months that the
number of
marina
calls.
had received no bill. And it apparently was being sent out to somewhere in Juddville. So finally, help me out if I'm recalling this correctly, they cut it off one day, right?
I did, Wendy went down
Okay.
to the office and it didn't work.
And so then,
So then
if
she
you all,
and I called.
if you all recall, some months ago, there was a reimbursement to me on my credit card.
Right,
That's what
right.
that was at least, it was a partial payment on the internet bill that was outstanding. I've had a conversation with subsequent, this with Alibi Docs as well. They called and said, hey, what are you guys doing about this?
About the cable
It was
TV.
about the cable TV, there's also internet tied in with it, and they're having the same challenges that we had with regard to
This
cable.
was-
When we did the cable flip, that's when this started. The
But we
billing
don't have
switch.
broadband, we have wireless to the boats.
You
the
got-
docks. We have broadband to the marina office.
So they give 2 routers or 2 lines going in there.
Right,
This
but
was a-
not $4,000 worth.
It was the TV that was so expensive.
No.
TV.
No.
I don't understand any of this.
This was a bill from DC Broadband for close to around $3,000 because of improvements that Nate Bell was attempting to make for something having to do with things reaching the Johnson
Wireless.
part of the dock.
Right, and he was putting it in at his expense on top of the boathouse, something like that. He
Right,
was-
but it wasn't at his expense, he billed us.
No, it was supposed to be billed. I thought it was $2,500 or roundabout. That's what I talked about with Wendy last time I had a conversation about it.
I think it was close to 3,000, but whatever, that would mean that the excess over the budget amount was much less than what it was. That was unexpected, that work that was done there.
Would you pull those bills up for me?
I will be
I
happy,
just-
I've talked to you about them before.
Something's not clicking with me.
Yeah, well, it's not clicking with me, because if we had the budget in what previous years, we based it on it, and it was $700 for internet, and suddenly we've got $4,092 for internet. That is a real heavy
If-
internet.
I don't know
What
how
she's-
you guys are getting away with $700 for internet. I mean,
Yeah,
I
me
pay
too. I'm thinking-
$400 a month at my establishment, and I have less connection than you guys.
Right now, we're paying $145 a month for internet at the marina.
That's about right.
But yeah, that sounds,
100, yeah.
yeah.
So
And you guys have
4,000?
cable as well.
No,
Cable
That's
separate,
separate.
separate line out of
It's
the
coming
budget.
into the boathouse.
This is a.
just one unit
Internet.
connection.
fee. The only internet we have is at the marina office and wireless to the boathouse, and we have cable TV going into the marina, and that's under Charter TV, which is the line item underneath it.
Let me ask a question about coding. I remember having a conversation with the Marina Committee about taking what would have been excess of funds allocated in cable and reallocating that to the internet upgrade. Is this a miscode on that? The DC broadband bill should have been under cable.
It doesn't matter, they're in
Yeah.
the same.
It
Yeah, no, it's gonna net out the same.
It doesn't matter to me, I'm just saying, for
You can
budget
see that
purposes going
there's money
forward.
left over
Yeah.
in the cable TV section, and
Right.
there's an excess spending in the internet
There
section.
is, and there's that, it just, if I'm doing a budget and I miss it by how many hundreds of percent that I just missed that?
Well, as
Well-
far as I know, that work that was done was not planned for at the time that the budget was
Maybe that should have
created.
come out of
Nobody knew
CIP.
that
It's
that
not
was
an
gonna be
operating
done.
expense, it's
No.
really a capital improvement to increase the
Yeah.
internet speed, right? Is that what it was?
It was supposed to be, we were supposed to have an excess in cable. We were gonna use the money out of the excess from cable to pay for the upgrade to repurpose the internet so we could have a comprehensive service across the whole marina.
So that people could stream movies. We're not gonna have Charter TV, so in lieu of that, let's get the wireless
Right.
at a faster speed that people could get Netflix or something and stream movies, and they have a ability. Is that right?
Yeah, that's what we discussed, I don't think we did that, though. I
Oh,
think he just increased the wireless band, he didn't bring it to the, for coverage, I don't think he
Yes.
increased.
There was
the-
a second modem that went in along with it. So in the past, you had a single line going in there too. At least that's my understanding of it.
Okay, anything else on the budget? Okay, item 4, consider a motion to adopt a policy clarifying ordinance 208, 040913, a funding source for the village's share of the Bay Shore project cost.
Julie, do you have input on this one? This is the
Yeah,
audit item?
I didn't.
Land.
Okay.
Okay.
Back in 2013, Bob actually created an ordinance. The board voted to dedicate the sale of the old school property to the burial of the overhead lines.
That's correct.
Since then, we've been talking as if we were dedicating the sale of all properties during this period of time to that purpose. But that was never made official. And Mike Konechny asked to see, evidence of that vote. And when I found it, it turned out to be only the old school. So Zeke would like to update that so that we show that we're dedicating the sale of all of these properties during this period of 2013 to 15.
And why does it make a difference?
Well, one issue is gonna be they're coming in through the TIF, and we'll have to make an adjustment for that at a later date through an amendment. You don't wanna show revenues coming in from a non-tax source to cover a expense inside the TIF that future tax revenue due to development could cover. So it's just a bad practice to run the TIF with. The other one is, as I've understood this coming in, all of the land sale items are going to offset the line burial. Well, when Juliana brought this up, I knew that's not the case. So right now, you have this unfunded mandate of line burial. And everything that I've worked off of has been to fund it off of land sales.
Okay, I don't disagree. It's been a conversation at several boards, and I think there's been a number of motions on it whenever we sold the property. That's what we wanted to do with it.
There's nothing, there are no other clear motions that say that. I read, believe me, I
Right,
read that.
and that's fine, but my point is, I understand the ordinance from the sale of schoolhouse, that's fine. I thought we'd also talk about other properties
I thought
at some point in time about doing
I
that.
thought we made the motion when we sold the old ball field. I thought that money went towards line burial. I thought that was in the motion. Is that not there?
But what different, accounting-wise, what difference does it make if we say
It's for
land
all-
sales go here?
Some things come down to the audit, and did staff have authorization to do something or another? Did the board intend something to go one place or the other? There has to be minutes to back up where the money goes if it's not a budgeted item. If you all had created a budget account that said line burial, $1 million, and borrowed $1 million up front, for example, funded that line item with it, and then told us, okay, all land sales from here on out, repay that borrowed from that transaction, that's what would take place. As it stands right now, all of those sale items would simply just go into the general fund, and they'd sit there until they were purposed into CIP. By passing this motion, what you're doing is transferring them from the unassigned fund balance into the CIP so that we can write the checks out.
I think staff is trying to confuse us again.
Well, it
Because
was.
we've always had the conversations
It's a
about,
cleanup idea.
it's gonna be $1 million to approximately to bury the lines, and let's take any proceeds we get from any sales to offset what it costs to bury the lines.
Well, I
So if we
cannot-
need a motion, we'll clear it
I
up.
cannot find
That's no
a
problem, but-
specific motion, although Shane might be correct about the sale of the ball field, but you see, at the time that I was looking for such a motion, Janelle was out and there were no minutes to look at. So it might be true for that one, I don't know.
So what would you like us to do? Make a motion that says any,
Any revenues from land transactions or land sales would be dedicated to line burial
that have occurred since,
that have occurred since that ordinance was enacted.
Okay.
But that would include anything coming off of the Go Key? So this was anything?
Okay. To Shane's point, with the exception of the sale of the land to Algoki's, it's
Well, are there
It's a non-revenue
more,
item.
are there more pieces of land that we would be selling, or can we just say?
Currently.
The ones
Can we
that
just list
sold,
those
list the
three?
ones that we want those to apply.
Name the parcels.
Yeah.
okay.
But
The
how
Mill
does-
Road parcel,
Okay, just a
But
minute.
do you want to include the TLEs
Yes,
and the 6F
yes.
money?
Okay.
What about the
Any revenues
Sequest?
realized as the result of the sale of what?
Mill Road parcel to DOT. Highland Road property. Ball field, or old ball field on Youngworth Court.
Okay, one second. So do you want to say the Highland property or the old ball field?
But it's two different ones.
Over to the Highland Road property.
He sold a little non-buildable lot
Yep,
on
yeah,
Highland.
for like
Ball-
17 grand or
ball-
something.
ball field?
Yeah.
On
Scooter.
South Highland.
Scooter, that's right, okay.
Yeah.
South Highland.
South Island.
So the
Yeah.
South Highland property?
Yeah.
Okay, the old ball field property?
Yes, ma'am. And then all,
TLE
All
and 6F
TLEs.
conversion,
well,
or
not,
6F.
not in 6F conversion, just all TLEs and, fee simple payments from DOT. Except the bond transaction.
Shall be allocated where?
To line burial.
To Lineberry.
And essentially where it's gonna work out is all that money's just gonna sit in there. When we find out what the final bill is gonna be, we'll hopefully have an excess sitting there. We'll repurpose it to whatever budget time.
Okay, so is this right? The motion was made by, seconded by, that any revenues realized as the result of the sale of the Mill Road parcel to the DOT, the sale of the South Highland Road property, the sale of the old Ballfield property, and TLEs and fee simple payments received from the DOT, with the exception of the Brown transaction, shall be allocated to offset costs related to the lawn burial project.
Add the old school to it, just so that everything's in there in one.
The old school was in, that was the original ordinance.
That was in the.
It is, but it's, I just have them all in one
Just
motion, in case you have to go
addition.
look for it later on, they're all sitting right there in one motion.
So we're not amending that resolution?
No, you're,
Making another one?
you're taking a motion, that resolution stands on its own, this motion is just to clarify policy.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Get her
Motion
done.
carried. Thanks, Julianne.
Thank you.
Item 11, consider a motion to confirm and appoint President Neal's nomination of qualified citizens to fill vacancies on committees, commissions, and boards in the village of Sister Bay. The only one that we have.
You approved your resolutions, yeah? You gotta do 8, 9.
We did all that.
We did that.
Yeah. we
Well,
voted
that
on
was
it.
a separate motion. That was a motion to take action.
That's what we were doing when we came out of closed session. Those were
Yeah.
the 3 items we did.
Okay, so that, and I misunderstood. Okay.
Those motions were to,
Do all that.
To do
that's why I
those.
read the resolution numbers in that.
Yeah.
Well, I'll redo it afterward, but that's taken care of, okay?
What we have is, so we're taking Jeff Flagel and moving him to permanent?
No, we were, but I don't think we need to do that. Unfortunately, Jeff had a seizure and is on life support. He's probably not gonna make it,
Gonna
so.
be back.
So we want to take Danny Youngworth, who agreed to be an alternate on the Marina Committee, and appoint him the alternate. And if at some point in the future it needs to change from an alternate to permanent, we'll do that, but we wanted to have a chance to talk to Danny first.
Right.
The discussion up to now is only be an alternate. So it's to place Danny Youngworth on the Marina Committee as an alternate.
Okay.
Okay.
So I need a motion to accept it.
I make a motion that we accept Danny Youngworth as an alternate on the Marina Committee.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Report on county activities. We're continuing to work on, this time of the year is the start of budget. We are still seeking a finance director. We've been involved in a couple of interviews. We are continuing to cast our net for a little while longer to try to get additional interviewees, potential. We also started advertising for the new county administrator position. That remains open until, I think it's April 30th, I believe, is when we'll see what we have for resumes and applications at that point in time, and then begin to pursue that process. In the meantime, budget now begins within the county. between now and July is when they'll be working on the CIP, then after July through November, they'll work on balancing the budget. That's pretty much where we're at the moment. Any questions about anything you might heard about the county or anything like that? I would encourage, you can always go to the county website, look at all the different committees, look at minutes, look at the county board minutes, et cetera. They're quite interesting.
Interesting about the director of finance.
Mhm.
Do you think there's any potential correlation with our opening that it would make, would it make any sense to have Zeke or somebody sit in on interviews? That if there was somebody that didn't fit the county's requirements but might fit the village?
I don't think we could, Dave.
Probably couldn't do it that way. What you could do is you could contact Kelly in Human Resources and ask if there's other applications that they've received that might apply. She could contact the applicants and let them know that there's a position open in Sister Bay, should they be interested in that.
Or is there something that we could contract out with to use the Sturgeon Bay Director of Finance for ours?
Well, we're trying to find a director of finance.
I know you are, but once you hire one, could we contract out for shared?
Oh,
I don't recommend it.
probably not.
You've got way too much going on up here to have we talked about having an accountant, come in and do it. Your volume of information coming through is too substantial. Just have an accountant come in once every now and then and look behind things.
So I will tell you that we were told that right now the tightest supply of certain professionals in the state of Wisconsin are government accounting finance directors.
Really?
Yes. There are multiple places looking for them right now. Several finance directors retired over the last year or two as a result of things going on in Wisconsin, and people are looking. You know, Kiwani is looking, Marinette was looking.
Ephraim's looking.
Ephraim's looking.
You're looking.
So there's a number, and at
They
the
all
county
meet
level,
with
they
moms?
only received 2 applications.
Really?
The
Wow.
challenge with it, yeah, Ephraim, I think got 2 or 3 on theirs. The pipeline has been that all these people came in about the time that government, quote unquote, was professional in the 70s and 80s, and you saw this proliferation of finance directors wanting to come on board. Now they're all hitting the sunset. It's the same thing with city county managers, with utility directors, with public works directors. It's widespread.
Okay. Item 14. Report from the village administrator on various actions.
I've talked enough for that. Heard it all.
Discussion regarding matters to be placed on a future agenda referred to committee, official, or employee.
Do you all want to take any action on directing me to draft a letter of support to the National Lakeshore Initiative?
I think that's a good idea.
Yes, I think it's a good idea.
Just do it.
Insofar as, to Dave's point, though, not to necessarily secure private lands, but to gain a designation of publicly owned or
Yes.
just a general area. Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of already publicly owned that
Yes,
would fall into that.
right, right.
Okay, so you want to say it was a consensus that what?
We support the designation of a National Lakeshore.
Grand Traverse Island.
Okay.
Without the addition of any currently private land.
So, what?
Without the addition of
addition.
land.
Of any currently private land. If the private owner wants to sell it to him or give it to him, great.
That's fine.
Right.
But
If they don't, we're
I
not
don't seem to
about.
be forced into it.
Right.
What
Want
else?
you to send a letter of support to that effect?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Anything else? Committee reports. Excuse me. Administrative.
Oh.
Has not been.
Oh.
What?
I'm just curious, maybe it would fall under next assignments, or maybe somebody knows something, whatever else, but just the pig idea, is that anything else that the pig expansion that the village could be doing, that they move forward with that?
Do
Or
we have a pig expansion idea again?
Pat, the first thing that popped in my head was a literal pig. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Is that
Piggly
on the table
Wiggly
again?
to store it. Oh, I don't know, I don't know what's happened with it.
I don't believe there's anything that's going on at all. Nothing, zero.
Nothing that can be talked about in public right now.
Well, my only point was for our next meeting, is that something we would like to discuss as to, should the village be trying to do something?
We are.
Okay,
We've had some meetings.
okay.
I will tell you that, I know there's been things going on, but recently at the last Plan Commission meeting, we did approve the signage, to change the signage up at Country Walk, so I think you'll be seeing some new additional signage up there.
And the pig is gonna be,
And the pig is
On
gonna be
that
part of
sign.
that and on that.
That was step one.
Flying pig sign?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With bullet holes in it.
Good.
shake us out.
Okay, administrative has not met. Bay Shore Oversight. Really just had the DOT information.
Yep.
Coastal Byways.
February and March meetings, both covered basically the same thing, website updating, taking forever. Also talking about a lobbying letter to get this into a national scenic byway program. That's what they're working on.
Okay, and when did they meet?
February 10th and March 18th.
PCECD.
February meeting, new board member Ron Flipner from the Tannenbaum Shop here in town. And support letters to Bay Ship, 2 of them, and that is about it. That was in February, on February 9th. On March 9th, we sat through the same Grand Traverse Island Lakeshore. Annual meeting will be the 29th of April, having a Kurt Bauer, who's with Wisconsin, CEO of Wisconsin Manufacturing, will be the speaker. Kind of a letdown after the last couple of years. And that's about it, as far as biggies.
Are we sending anybody to DCECD luncheon?
I have to go as a board member.
If you guys want to do the full table, we can do that. They haven't sent the letter out yet.
Okay.
For it.
Or wait then?
Yeah. I will tell you that, Josh Van Loeshout and Steve McNeil will all participate in, Door Kewanee County Legislative Days. We'll go down for a night and lobby the legislature. Yes, sir.
Always gonna do vote.
Yes, sir. We got drafted by Steve,
Okay, good.
That's coming up, isn't it?
Yes.
April. Yeah.
2nd of April.
It is the 15th and 16th of April.
Thank you. I need to put that on my calendar because Charlie won't be home.
Economic Development has not met.
Some commentary on that.
Yes. I guess I think what we need to decide is what we're going to do with the Economic Development Committee. They haven't met for going on a year, but a lot of the things that they put together are what we've been discussing and funding and helping through over the last year. I mean, we were looking at the Economic Development Committee starting to look at other areas of the village and what we should do with that. At this point in time, we need to decide if we want to do that and press ahead. There's not a lot of money to commit to anything at this point in time. Do we want to just put it on hold for a while till we get some of these other projects under our belt, reactivate it? Part of this discussion also has to do with after the elections in April. In May comes reappointment time to committees, and I would have to reappoint people in the Economic Development Committee, et cetera, if we want to continue to have that or not. I think they did a great job. It's a great product. I think it's helped foster what we're doing or what's happened. And it was a good thing. I believe it was a good thing that we did it. And we got a good work program on it. So, but people on the committee are also asking, okay, now what do you want us to do?
So you're talking about dissolving the committee at this point?
Dissolve it, maintain it, direct it to do something else.
it's a challenge to come up with things right now, the way that it's working. Larry Gott is the chairman, and I'm the lead staff person to it, so most of what was outlined in the redevelopment plan has been accomplished, and after today, we're really down to one more piece left out of all of them that were identified. And there's really nothing for them to do other than to provide the same input that the plan commission would provide in terms of architectural scale or scope, or maybe an incentive plan. However, anything the Economic Development Committee recommends is ultimately going to end up back at finance to examine our village finances. That's really where it belongs, to have those conversations.
So dissolve it. You know, it's
Well,
run its course.
I think the committee would hold merit in the future, but right now, we just don't have the money to spend on anything else. I
Yeah.
think we need to
Maybe
accomplish what we
Yeah,
bid.
dormant for right now,
Okay.
until such time as a
So
project.
we won't dissolve it, we'll just kind of
Suspend it.
suspend it.
Clear the memberships, at least they know.
Yes, yeah.
It might be pertinent to revisit that item under 11.
I think maybe something to do is have a meeting of the Economic Development Committee and sit down and discuss, go through everything that's been accomplished and what happened and what we're going to do with the committee until such time as we can open the doors again. I mean, I think they need to know everything that's happened, because they were a great part of it.
Well, that's also a time to give them an opportunity to bow out or not, if they don't want to wait that time.
Right.
Look at your calendar. When we do that, we'll get to that.
Yep. Okay. Finance.
I don't believe we.
Hasn't been busy at all.
Yeah, I haven't been.
No,
busy
you
at all.
just did all of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Make it long.
Fire.
Minutes in the packet. Probably one of the things I take from it that is great to see, many, or at least a couple of the other municipalities in northern Doran County are struggling with not only the number of volunteer firefighters they have, but new ones joining. And Sister Bay, Liberty Grove is in a very good position right now with roundabouts 50 or so members, but they had 6 brand new and 2 returning to the area with some training going through new training. That's wonderful. Young folks coming
That's
into
great.
the department to support any potential retirements or whatever, and so it's just a really good thing.
Okay. Fire District Exploratory. I noticed there was a mention in the minutes.
Yeah, a lot hinges on, you got the town of Egg Harbor and the village of Egg Harbor, and things could change with the next election and over the next year or two. And whether they're in or they're out changes the dynamics, particularly financially speaking, of a potential fire district. To the point where they're not sure the timing is right to push forward just yet. They want to see what happens with the election. Is there a change of feeling towards it, and then take a potential next step, or just have all the information that they currently have and wait and see. The other thing that I think somewhat plays into this is Mavis just went live. So Mavis is a mutual aid program.
Box office.
So, like, there was a fire, I think it was the Gills Rock or Ellison
Garrett Bay Road or something, yeah.
Right, so as the fire chief or the person on scene in command says, hey, I think we need additional personnel, it automatically, they have cards that say, fine, step it up to this next level, and you bring assets as needed. It seems as though that may play into, a lot of this, I think exploratory fire district is supporting your neighbors to make sure you've got coverage, and Mavis does that in part. So I think waiting to see what happens with how Mavis develops, how the political climate may change, how Egg Harbor Township and Village may play out. So I think the fire district is a potentially great idea still, but timing-wise, there's some things going on that I don't know if we're going to hear a lot of that in the next couple of months anyway.
Historical Society.
They had a meeting in February and in March. Zeke was at the February one, presented some ideas. basically getting ready for the season. They're looking at possibly doing some movies, getting their staff in order, that type of thing, for the upcoming
Yeah,
summer.
looks like they're gonna do Wizard of Oz on the new movie screen. So I volunteered to go out and dub some of that movie for them. That should be fun.
Library.
There was no meeting in March, and in February, I wasn't here, but we did have a meeting, so at some point, the last meeting was reported on.
Probably the minutes were probably the last packet, maybe.
Yeah, it must have been it, okay?
Marina Fest.
Marina did not have meetings, but we've had some going-ons. Number one, the bathrooms for public bathrooms are complete, as are the voters' bathrooms with the renovation.
Yeah.
Did a great job. The public was brand new. We had a mini meeting interviewing for a marina manager, which we did this last week, and we came in with the conclusion that we wanted to offer an opportunity of employment to Nicole Crowell as a dual marina manager between Egg Harbor and the village of Sister Bay, with the understanding that the very high experience, the driving force is both Egg Harbor and village of Sister Bay have a need for a marina manager year-round, but we can't pay them because they're faced with the same thing we are. In the wintertime, we're trying to find work to justify keeping a marina person on full-time, and we end up losing them. This person would be a very strong marina manager for the entire year. And so they could do our slips and their slips and renewals and everything in the wintertime, and be able to do the full employment with the salary and be able to retain them. With strong assistant managers, which we put in with Aaron here, and they have to put somebody in there, and then shared time coming up. So I've recommended to Zeke to enter into a governmental agreement, intergovernmental agreement.
So you're gonna work through an
to
intergovernmental?
try to work out. The candidate was very impressive. I think it'd be a good addition for our marina.
Okay. Anything on Marina Fest?
Yeah, we're moving forward. It's been to a slight halt since Wendy has left, but now that we have our new,
Jason.
yeah, Jason, we're gonna continue forward with it. We have locked down the Timberworks show, is that correct?
Yep.
So we have a Timberworks show coming in Sunday, the potential of SBAA doing kind of a nice big concert at the night of the Timberworks on that Sunday, and then Marina Fest would continue as always on Saturday. So it sounds like we're gonna have a 2-day weekend that weekend, which is gonna be
Great.
very nice. So hopefully everything falls into place, hopefully SBAA, actually, no, the motion has been made.
Yeah,
So it
they're
will
gonna
happen
contact
with
somebody, they're
SBAA.
talking Eric Lewis or some other type of, I don't know, but anyway, some bigger name type one to do on that Sunday night.
Great.
It's being
So-
checked into now.
Yeah, so it's going forward, so everything's good, and once Jason and I can sit down to try to figure out what direction Marina Fest is gonna go from here, we'll have a great one, so we'll try to do that this week.
Parks. Minutes are in the package. Personnel. What?
Public Work Project,
What about it?
can talk about that, I think.
If you want, go ahead.
Okay. So,
He's excited.
I'm gonna mangle
I
this
think he
name.
wants to.
Ramsey and Ron Myers, I think that's right. Same gentleman, artist that did the mural down in Bailey's Harbor, approached us about doing some mural work here. We had a conversation about a number of different buildings, and ultimately came to the conclusion that, parks only regulates the public facilities that we have here in Sister Bay. And there are a number of private, structures out there that may work as well. So they're going to bring a presentation to the Marina Committee and look at doing something on the boathouse potentially.
The side that would face the marina.
Yes.
Yeah, the idea there is it's you have that facade that's got the exposure that they wanted, but it also needs repainting. The whole side of the building, the whole side of the building's in dire need of repainting and everything, and if they were to come to the Marina Committee and do a mural that's, you know, nautical in nature and our historic waterfront, it might be a good spot for it.
And they can unveil it at Marina Fest.
Very good.
Good call.
If they can get it done.
There you go.
Good call.
But it might be part of it, but it would be it'd be a nice thing.
Check you out, idea guy.
Exactly.
He's done murals in a number of villages and towns around Wisconsin. There's one, I always forget the name of it. Is it Clintonville?
That sounds
I
right.
think it's Clintonville. If you went into Clintonville, there's all these murals on buildings all over the place, and it's kind of unique.
We did Bailey's Harbor type thing, but it's not just, you know, somebody throwing graffiti on it. It is a beautiful.
Has the potential to become an attraction in and of
Mural.
itself, and that you can publish a guide that says, okay, visit these, and you could have several of them throughout the community scattered around. It's just one more thing to do.
It's like the
And-
Milwaukee whale wall, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, exactly. A museum down there, and our ordinances allow that type of thing to be put on buildings. We checked into that.
As long as there's no orange on it, is that how it works?
And they have to plant 100 daffodils.
Whoa.
Personnel.
Has met, and I put together a draft policy. We'll get to set up another meeting sometime this month. It's done.
Okay.
Needs to be parsed apart, but it's done. That was it.
Plan Commission.
Met, you guys saw the fruit of the labors here, plus the signage the country walk shops had approved, and hopefully they'll get those put together in short order. Janelle, do you know if they've actually submitted the $50 check back? Have you seen that?
It just came in today.
Okay, so they're green lighted to go now.
Communication Technology has not met.
That's,
SBAA.
SBA has been meeting. They did talk about the movie screen, although they thought for the length of the season this year that they would rather rent or use Chris Oppers for the films that they showed. They also did a Film Fest wrap-up, which I guess worked out okay, although the weather was really poor that weekend. They're also discussing somewhat about if they might have to move the visitor center with all the construction in that triangle up there by the school, as far as location or what might be a good idea.
You're talking about temporarily for a year during the construction.
Mhm. Right, right. Whether it'd be best to try to do something downtown where it's at. They were also going to talk to the owners of Azure, maybe see, because it'd be on the detour right,
good to go.
if that would work. So there's a number of things they're checking into on that. And I think that, and they did discuss the working agreement with the village. There was a discussion on that and a few things that they were going to bring back to marketing committee on it.
Any questions, anybody? Teen Center,
has not met.
Tourism Zone Commission.
Met.
Yep.
Nor and I were at the last one. The major conversation was over what to do with funding that the commission has collected. We've had a couple of good years. And so administrative cost relative to the ratio that we retain for administrative cost is provided for some excess funding. The agreement that we have authorizing the TZC to collect those taxes tells us what to do with that. We authorized that at the last meeting, which is essentially it goes to DCVB to bolster their marketing efforts.
Right. Someone's going to be retained to update the website and the way the processes work, and then the rest
Yeah,
go back to the visitor bureau
Yep.
for marketing.
some internal things at TCC, and you're right, the balance
Right.
goes over there.
Right. And then they also said that 5 of the municipalities accepted charging stations for the vehicles, so that should be going on this summer. And they're doing a tourism summit besides just during the tourism week in May. And I guess they've had pretty good response to that. That'll be an all-day seminar type of thing. Commercials, they've been doing a big push in Milwaukee and Chicago, and those have started now. And there was a good article in Food and Travel, Spring Magazine, about Door County. There was a nice couple of page spread. I think those are the major.
I don't know if it's well, it has to be tourism zone. Somewhere in the tourism zone policies or something, when they set up the use of local entities for marketing, is there a direction as to what is required of either the municipalities or the entities that say what they're supposed to be doing with the funds?
So I had a conversation with Jack Moneypenny sometime when you were talking about the funding relationship between DCBB and the local
Yes.
business entities or
Yes.
tourism promotion entities. Okay. That program was a vestige of, as I understand it, Sturgeon Bay attempting to come into the TZC under that umbrella. And so the program was initially started with the thought that it would be maybe a 3-year stopgap for them to generate their own funding, and now it's there in perpetuity.
Correct.
Or at least on an annual basis, that is, they reauthorize it. So I guess I don't understand your question specifically.
Well,
They have
it
guidelines.
It does
that-
need to be used for marketing. They can print their brochures, they can
Well, that's
promote
my question.
events.
Yes.
It
Dollars
has
that-
to be used for marketing,
Okay.
not for
marketing
salaries or
what?
things of that. Marketing your community, your events. We can
Other
use
than
it
the
for our
comic.
Sister Bay brochure, we can use it for,
Print
print
materials, broadcast
materials.
out, yeah.
right, radio ads, things like
Jack
that.
will
It
say
has to be
there's a sheet
marketing.
they have to submit annually
Quarterly.
saying this is what we, I'm sorry,
Right.
quarterly on, this is what we spend it on.
All right, I'm not trying to open any arguments or any sore points. I'm asking that question, I guess I'd like them to tell us what it's for. I saw in the minutes of SBAA that it was to promote the business community, not the community of Sister Bay as a whole.
That's incorrect.
And that's what I take
That's-
exception to, and that's why I'm asking that
That
question.
was